Well, here we go again. The Storm Prediction Center has issued another moderate risk of severe weather from northern Louisiana through the deep south into southern Georgia for today, April 19th, 2020. The cities in this moderate risk include Montgomery, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, Jackson, Mississippi, Macon, Georgia, and Albany, Georgia. What's going to be leading to this severe weather event is we have a shortwave trough that's developing, going to be pushing through the southern plains and progressing into the area. It will be around Texas during the afternoon and progress into the Arklatex and the Arklamis probably after about 00Z, and will lead to strong downstream PVA, which will help to generate thunderstorms in the area. And it will also strengthen the mid-level wind fields, resulting in a strong mid-level jet over this area here, which could reach magnitudes of perhaps 60 to 80 knots. And that's going to be co-located with strengthening low-level flow in this part of the area, around 850 millibars, maybe 50 knots, and that will create a strong overlap of strong mid-level flow and strong low-level flow. The surface analysis, what's going to initially be a warm front in the morning, should stall out during the afternoon right around here, so we will have convection developing in this area. We'll have it north of the area during the morning, and what we're going to see too, I think some of the early elevated convection over Mississippi and Alabama will go south of the warm front, south of the stationary boundary into southern Georgia during the afternoon, and could become surface-based, and in that situation could pose surface-based severe weather hazards. But the thing to note is that this boundary is stalled, and that means that there's going to be a cutoff. Up here we're going to see basically no severe weather threat. Down here we're going to see a higher end severe weather event, possibly a tornado outbreak happening through the area. Warm, moist air is going to advect into the area during the afternoon, and this is going to lead to very high surface-based CAPE values, which by the NAM model here, we're looking at values that are between 2,500 and 3,500, isolated 4,000 plus joules per kilogram. And this is going to be right here, the stationary boundary, so you notice north of that there's no CAPE, south of that we have plenty of potential energy for severe thunderstorms. And at the same time, there's going to be a strengthening of low-level flow. Now, I don't think it's going to be quite as intense as last time because the system is not going to be as dynamic. But when we look here, a few things to notice. Number one, in the early afternoon hours, there's an increase in storm relative velocity over this area, and that's why I think there could be some tornado potential during the early afternoon hours as convection moves south of the boundary and becomes surface-based in this area. But then look back to the west. This is where the main event is going to be beginning. We see 0 to 3 kilometer storm relative velocity increasing strongly, so that by the time we get to between 21Z and 03Z, we have this area here with values of velocity that could be 300 to 400, maybe 450 meters squared per second squared, and lead to an environment along with strong mid-level wind fields creating intense vertical shear of 55 to 65 knots, would suggest that the environment will become favorable for supercellular development and organized linear segments. Now, the combination of strong thermodynamics and wind shear will create an environment that is supportive of high-end severe weather potential, given by the composite parameters such as this, the effective significant tornado parameter, which is highest in this area here and tends to be highest in Mississippi and parts of Alabama. So I think that's probably going to be the main tornado risk area. And should we see discrete development in that area, particularly going right in through here, or with convection that goes along the warm front, we could see the potential for long track, strong, and couldn't rule out isolated violent tornadoes if we get the proper combination of strong thermodynamics and low level wind shear. Now what that's going to look like from the HRRR model, simulated reflectivity, we see here in the morning convection starts to increase over Mississippi and Alabama. This is primarily elevated because at this point in time the warm front will be setting right around in this area. We're going to break this down as it goes along in the afternoon. Now this is just one model, so this is one interpretation of several from the members of the HREF version 2 ensemble. And during the afternoon hours they progress into parts of southern Alabama, southern Georgia. So this area here could see some damaging wind and tornado potential increasing during the afternoon. Depending on how unstable it gets, there could be enhanced level severe weather potential there. But then look back here, this is where the main event is going to be beginning. And we're going to track that one out as we go through the hours. We see numerous thunderstorms progressing through the area into southern Georgia through the 06Z time frame, also parts of southern South Carolina. So the main thing that we're looking at here is this area where there will be numerous clusters, supercells, all severe weather hazards, strong, significant tornadoes, damaging winds which could be significant, and large to very large hail. All of them are likely in this area. And the tornado threat is going to be dependent on how much organization we get in discrete supercells, but from what we're seeing down here in this area, the models are projecting the development of some discrete supercells, particularly on the southern end of any larger linear complex. It's going to be a variable situation that we're going to have to continue updating, continue monitoring. But this has been a severe weather briefing for April 19th, 2020, and possibly the first of perhaps another. I don't know if I'll make another one, but it depends. The situation needs to be monitored closely.